Welcome to the first episode of MMO Noobs. I'm Chris.
I'm Rick.
And I am Keith.
And we are starting a podcast because we wanted to start playing some new MMOs. And what other way to do it than do it during a podcast? And we're also going to show people who also want to play new games, you know, what it's like, what we're doing, how the gameplay is, if it's something they might be interested in, how the graphics look, and so this is what we're all about. So, but like I said, my name is Chris. I used to be a console player, and then I started PC during World of Warcraft. Played World of Warcraft for years and years. Dabbled in Star Wars, The Old Republic a little bit, and now I'm going to dabble in everything else. All right, Rick, you want to tell everybody about you now?
So I've been console gamer, PC gamer, everything gamer for years and years. First MMO was also World of Warcraft back in 2004. I've played multiple other ones throughout the years. Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 11, even some other freebies like Flife or Fly for Fun. Yeah, so that's about it for me.
All right, so Keith, how about you?
I'm probably, of the three of us, the least experienced with MMOs. I played World of Warcraft back when Wrath of the Lich King came out, and played through Cataclysm, and I kind of got burnt out, and my ADD kicked in, and I moved on to something else. And then when World of Warcraft Classic was introduced, I decided to start playing, and I've played through all the content up to what's going on now. But I think the reason that I'm really excited about doing this is everybody kind of feels that burnout sometimes, where there's not a lot to do, that you're just gathering and, farming for things, and you get bored. So this will be a good break, getting new games under my belt, trying new things, stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, and this is another thing we could do to find a different game that we might like. Not necessarily that we enjoy more than what we're already been playing, but something that, one day a week maybe that we can just say, hey, I'm going to play this game one day a week. Or
just to get a break from that lull, because
you could only level so many tunes to max level before you go crazy.
Exactly. You can only farm so many herbs to sell on the auction house before you're just absolutely tired of it.
Yep. So, we all talked and came up with this plan, and I had kind of brought up the idea, and they said, yes, we're totally for it, let's do it. So we talked about it, and we kind of got it all set up. I actually did I just picked a random letter, and it happened to come up as N, and we all just said, okay, New World. Let's go big or go home. We'll just start off big. So we picked New World, so we're going to talk about New World, and what we're going to do is we pick a game, one game a month. We're going to play it, and we're going to stream it, which I will let you know at the end of each episode where our streams are going to be located, and it'll probably be on the next episode. I'll let you know where it's going to stream, unless y'all know already where you're going to be streaming at.
I'll get it to you before the end of this podcast.
Okay. So at the end of the podcast, I'll let you know where we're going to be streaming our videos. And I want to try to get one totally together to where it's edited and it shows you all three of them. I don't know if it'll be too much for somebody to watch or not, but that's something I would want to watch, is one screen with all 3 tunes play at the same time. And so, and with any new MMO, there comes different styles of everything. One game might have this, another MMO is going to have this, so every category and everything for each month is probably going to be different. So we're going to talk about different things like this one. We're going to talk a little bit about the opening scene. There wasn't much about an opening scene. The character creation, how it figure out the gameplay, like the moving and fighting, how that works out. If it's really easy to figure out at first or hard or whatever. Questing, leveling, some tips that we come across. If there's professions and how to do it, and of course we're going to tell you what we did in the game, and then of course we're going to tell you what we think of the game. So let's start off with the opening scene. Now, the opening scene was what, 30 seconds long?
Oh, I'd say it was longer than that, probably 30 minutes.
Because it showed the whole getting on the ship and everything. I was originally thinking about up to the character creation screen. Is very, very short. It's like 30 seconds long. But right after the character creation screen, then it goes into a little bit longer of a opening scene. If I remember correctly.
No. So there's a couple minutes leading up to the character selection screen. Like it's the captain talking to the one survivor, and he's given the box and stuff, and then it shows him on the ship going to this island that we're on in New World, and then it goes to your character, where you start your character creation. Sorry, and then after you create your character, it does the whole next little bit that puts you onto the island.
You know what? You're right. I don't know what I'm thinking. After you
time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. We played for a while, and I didn't know we were playing that long. I looked at the clock. I was like, "Oh, crap! We played for what, 3 hours?"
A little bit more than 3 hours. Yep.
Oh, dang! It doesn't even feel like it was that long. But somebody did go FK for like an hour.
It was not an hour. It was like 30 minutes.
I'm just messing with you. It wasn't even 30 minutes. I don't even think it was that long.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Frozen soup takes a minute.
But we're all fathers, and so we do go AFK sometimes because, real life comes first. And so if you're watching... if we do have a live stream going on, then if we do go FK, it's going to happen because real life comes first. So no matter what, we're going to have to go FK and do something. So there's that. Keith, what is your reaction to the opening scene?
The first time you watch it, it's you're getting into a new game, so you're hoping that you're going to get backstory, and the graphics are really good, but it doesn't tell you much.
Yeah.
But it is it draws you in and kind of gives you a start to the game, so it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, the graphics are really good. You kind of got that awe factor when you first the first time you log on or start, and so yeah, there isn't much to a storyline at all when you first start. What about you, Rick?
So I kind of enjoy the opening cinematic. Like, you learn that this island that this captain is venturing to has some sort of strong, dangerous power on it, and you don't really know why he's decided he wants to come to this power, but it's kind of cool that you see some of the things that are gonna possibly happen with, like, the ships being destroyed by the corruption and stuff like that. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a sense of kind of what you're falling into, but not entirely exactly what you're falling into. So I thought that was pretty cool. Leaves it kind of open to the imagination, I guess.
You know, that's kind of the same thing I feel. The character creation itself, most character creations you're not like really at all about, but it's got the basic, your skin tone, your hair color, your eye color, stuff like that. There's not too much, but there are some differences on this one I haven't seen on the other ones. You can make a female with a beard, which I've never seen on another game before. But
but the female with the beard also kind of goes back to how it's more generic.
Yeah,
like you get to choose between male or female. There's only one race. You're always a human. All of the hairstyles for male and female are the same. The facial hair options for male and female are the same. The colors, the hair colors and skin tones, everything's the same. Whether you're male, female, doesn't matter. So it's kind of generic, but there's lots of options though too. There's probably 20 different hairstyles and facial hairs.
Yeah, about that, and then several different eye colors and hair colors. And then you also get to put in like facial scars and facial tattoos and even freckles.
Yeah, I first clicked, I was like, oh, freckles, okay. But as soon as you get all that, you hit enter or whatever, your character just automatically comes to life right there. Boom, comes to life. And because the ship kind of like rocks and you kind of stumble, I'm like, oh, okay. Awesome. You don't go to a loading screen and everything else. You just automatically, boom, you're started. And then you get shipwrecked and you get on the island, and that's where you start. So we did the opening scene, the character creation. So,
hold on. Time out.
Go ahead.
You get shipwrecked the first time, and you go through an intro phase before you actually get shipwrecked on the island. So the first time you're shipwrecked, you're on the island with the drowned sailors, and it's very, very basic tutorial where it teaches you all the controls and things, how to move, how to attack, what your different buttons do. And then you fight a little mini boss, which is the captain that you were originally with. And then once that's through, then it reloads you and starts you out on the island where you're actually starting the game and can pick up quests.
Yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, that comes the starting the gameplay, the moving and fighting, which is way different than what I'm used to. All right, see, that's why I like having y'all here, because I'm going to say some stupid stuff, and I got y'all to correct me. Hey, I'm being honest. Okay. So, then, what do y'all think about the moving around and fighting?
So, for me, first and foremost, is that some of your... In a lot of other MMOs, like you're on your standard QWERTY keyboard, you've got WASD for movement, forward, backwards, A and D are to turn, left to right, and then Q and E are to do your strafing. Well, in this game, strafing is done with A and D, and Q is one of your first abilities, E is your activation button. So a lot of times you see people running around and you know they mean to strafe because there is no reason for them to attack. But they use their first cooldown.
I don't know how many times I've attacked stuff and I didn't mean to.
Yeah, so for me that's the biggest thing. That's like really the only thing for me is just that movement. Using that ability to...
Even after playing for 3 hours, I still don't have it down quite nearly.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But that's years and years and years of playing it totally different, so, you know.
Yeah.
Keith, what about you?
like you guys said, coming from one game to this game, it's all brand new, and I'm the one that's guilty of what Reaper was talking about, trying to strafe and using an ability. I still do it constantly. I've been playing for pretty much 2 days straight, and I'm starting to get things figured out as far as not making those mistakes and pressing buttons. But I always find my hand moving up onto the 1, 2, 3, 4 keys, because that's where I normally keep to activate my abilities while I'm playing World of Warcraft. So I think once we play some more and get settled in, the controls are fine. It's not like they're bad options, but just getting used to it's going to take a while.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
And one thing with the combat, like, it's a little more complicated than most other games, because in a lot of MMOs, you don't have to click to swing your weapon every time. You don't have to right-click to bring up your block. That's all done automatically in the game on like a hit-to-miss algorithm kind of thing. Whereas this, it is all literal player skill is what it would work down to.
Which I kind of like this better, because you're not waiting on your dude to swing.
Yeah, that's true.
And I know we just got started, but later in the game, do you have more abilities that you have to worry about? Or is it just kind of basic, like maybe 3 or 4 or 5 buttons that you hit?
So from what I understand, from the bit that I played, was you only get the 3 abilities. So as you level up your weapon skills, you get 20 points to put into these skills, and then it's capped out. But that is the whole reason of having the second weapon. So if you were to, say, as a tank, run with a sword and board, have it maxed out, and then in your secondary weapon would be like a great axe or a hammer or something like that, something that would deal high damage and help you create threat. You would switch to that while your other abilities are on cooldown, and then you would carry on a combo smashing through those other abilities, but you don't need to change what buttons you're using because they're all the same.
Yeah, each weapon type that you level up has 3 activated abilities. So the 3 buttons that you press to activate abilities, and then there are multiple other talents that enhance those abilities or do different things based on that weapon type.
Yeah. And plus, on the types of your class, like tank, DPS, or healing, I had picked tank, Keith picked healing, and Rick had picked just regular DPS. Now, whether that be range or melee DPS, just whatever. It doesn't matter, just whatever he feels like doing. But in this game, you do not pick, hey, I'm a tank, period, blah, blah. Which actually, yes, you can do that, but it's not like a spec you do. It's what you put your points into to be the tank or healer or whatever. And it's the weapons you pick up that you get to do that specific type of class.
Yeah, so basically, the type of class you are is literally what you build yourself to be. So, like, as a tank, you would want high strength and high constitution to be dealing more damage, but also being able to take a lot more as well. And then as a DPS, a lot of the higher DPS weapons are in the dexterity tree. So you have like your bow and your rapier, your spear. So you would plant a bunch of points into dexterity as well. And then some things even use strength or dexterity as a secondary. Like sword and shield uses strength as a primary stat, but dexterity is its secondary stat. So it doesn't get as much of a gain from each point put into it, but it still gets a little bit of a gain. I think it kind of like adds to maybe the ability to actually hit something. I'm not entirely sure why it would be a secondary build for it, but yeah.
But as far as us selecting our classes, I feel like we're going to reference World of Warcraft a lot here because that's what we've all three played the most. So World of Warcraft, if you want to make a tank, on your character selection screen, you have to select a paladin, a warrior, or a druid. Those are the options that you have. Yeah. But you don't ever select anything like that in this game. You just pick up whatever weapon you want to use, and then you look at that weapon's talent tree, essentially, and figure out if that's going to suffice for the role that you're trying to fill.
Yeah. And if you change your mind in the first 20 levels, respec is free. After that, I guess it depends on your level how much it's going to cost, I guess.
Yeah, so up until level 20, it's free to respec. And then after level 20, it costs you a blue substance that you collect. I think it's called Azoth or something like that.
Azerum?
Whatever you use to fast travel to random points from like the spirit shrines.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's called Azerum.
Sounds accurate.
Okay. Well, in case y'all couldn't tell, they've been playing the game. I just started, so I'm the noob on this game. They're still noobs because they haven't played it very long. I think Rick's got the most gameplay on this one, but I don't think you have too much, do you?
I'll tell you right now. As of this exact moment, 60.9 hours.
Oh yeah, you got one. You got one to do.
Got a couple days.
Yeah. So on that aspect of it, I like it because it's new. It's more, of building the character, so I'm really enjoying that part so far. I'm still learning it, so I could change my mind on it, but like I said, I'm still learning it, so if it goes more in depth, I don't know, or whatever, so I'm learning the crafting stuff, so I can make some better gear and stuff like that. There is stuff everywhere that you can pick up, like if you get in the bush, you get certain stuff. You can pick up flints. Okay, so like to make on my crafting, I can make weapons that produce more threat, and I'm guessing more damage will create more threat too. Is that correct? Or do you know?
So, as the tank, if I remember correctly, there are some of your skills are affected by certain gems.
Yeah. I know I did put some points into something that created more threat. I don't remember what it was or nothing. But of course, the gameplay is going to be posted later, and I'll put that at the end of the podcast where it's going to be posted.
Yeah, and then I think your shield bash and stuff like that. If you had a taunt gem inserted into your weapon or your shield, you would gain a bonus in threat generation using that ability.
Okay, so it's probably not more damage; it's more using the weapon that has the gem or the points into, like the shield bash or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
So it's definitely going to take a bit of getting used to, because in this game we obviously don't have taunts like we do in World of Warcraft.
I can't just hit one for taunt and beat. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to taunt. Just hit the taunt button.
It's definitely going to be a big learning curve for all three of us.
It definitely is.
Trying this whole healing thing, because I know while we were playing a little bit ago, seeing Keith heals, he either shoots you with his staff and gets a little bit of life, or he has an AoE heal that he has to place on the ground. And you just
which was there. Cool. Now, him shooting me, I was like, hey, that... what are you doing? You're shooting me. What are you doing? So that's going to take some getting used to, because you're not used to seeing something like that shooting at you. Now, in other games it does that, but I'm just not used to it.
Yeah. And that's where that free respec comes in handy, because when I was shooting you to heal you, it was so little healing, it really wasn't worth spending one of my points, so I respec. So now I have a direct heal where I target you and heal you, and I also have that AoE heal, so it's just that respec for free up to level 20 is nice. It really lets you experiment with different options.
Now, I wonder if that shooting heal is based just on, like, the stats on the staff itself.
It is. It's a percentage of weapon damage.
Oh, okay. So the more gears, or the higher gear score you have on that particular weapon will be kind of essentially what you're going to be looking for throwing orbs at people.
Right, but my thought process was, as my weapon damage goes up, your health pool is going to go up, so I'm still going to probably be healing you for a very small amount in comparison to respecking and getting the direct heal where I can target somebody and heal them. I think it'll end up being more valuable in the long run.
Yeah, I suppose it could be. I guess it would all kind of sort of depend on, like, what type of stuff we'd end up doing, because, like, if you run out of mana while we're healing, or while we're fighting, sorry, I think a shoot to heal would kind of be what might save us in the long run you get that little bit of mana back.
And that very well could be possible, because there's also the ability before you get the shooting heal makes it so that you're attacking with your staff, which is what you're shooting with, doesn't cost any mana anymore. So it would be a way to be able to continue to heal a little bit and regenerate mana at the same time.
Yeah, okay.
So
it's just different options and things to play with.
So what are your thoughts about the healing so far? I know you just started. What are your thoughts on it so far?
Well, like we said at the beginning, we don't really select a class or a spec or anything. So from what I've found, there's the life staff, which gives you a whole barrage of different healing options. And then there's the Void Gauntlet, which has a few abilities that have healing on them, but it's more of a damage weapon. So those are the two weapons that I've got right now, so that if we're in a situation where you don't need much heals, I can switch to the Void Gauntlet and use that to deal a little more damage. If we get to the point where we're in dungeons and things, I'll probably have the staff equipped most of the time, and so that I can do the bigger heals. But just figuring that out at first was, if I wouldn't have looked it up, I would never have known how to do it, because you don't select that stat at the beginning. You don't select a class. So just, if you're planning to start playing New World, do some research or listen to the rest of our podcast, because it's going to be very informative on how you go about selecting different roles and what different weapons do and things like that.
Now, Rick, what about DPS? I probably you don't have too much to go on, but you've played it a little bit more than we have.
So, going DPS, it's kind of narrows down to, do you want to be a ranged DPS? Do you want to be a caster DPS? Or do you want to be a physical DPS? So with the ranged and some of the physical DPS, a lot of it is all based on the dexterity stat. Whereas being a caster DPS, you're more into intelligence and wearing light armor and having to kind of stack constitution at the same time, because if for some reason you're out by yourself, you're going to get the crap kicked out of you, because you're going to be squishy as hell. that being said, it's pretty basic, really. So you can choose to level up as like an AoE DPS, like with the Great Axe. You have like a single target spec called the Reaper, and it's literally just you pull an enemy towards you and deal damage to it. You charge a single enemy and deal damage to it. And then the other one, I believe, is called Marauder. Starts with an M. But that's all AoE damage. You have like a whirlwind attack. You have a gravitational pull attack that sucks them into a middle and then deals damage to them at the end of the attack. And yeah, so it kind of all depends on what type of stuff you're going to be doing, I suppose.
And what you like to play, you know.
Well, I mean, for doing dungeons, obviously more AoE is going to be better in dungeons. Because not only is the healer doing AoE heals, the tank kind of has a little bit of AoE damage, but not a lot. And then you're in large groups, so obviously your DPS also needs to be able to hit multiple enemies at the same time. So AoE is definitely going to play a big part in later game. Single target more so for leveling and questing and such.
Yeah. Okay, is there anything else we will talk about on that part?
There is, since you're not able to ask yourself, Chris, what'd you think of the tanking aspect? Were you able to get into it very much with the little bit of playing we did?
I haven't really got a chance to do anything. I tried, you know, if I saw somebody attacking something, I would try to get up there, but everything dies so fast right now, I don't know if I'm actually taunting anything off. So that'll be something that will have to be brought up later, because really I really got to dabble into it too much.
Well, that's a question. Do you have a taunt ability already?
I do have. I don't have a taunt ability, but I have. Unless you're talking about the point that I put into a taunt.
Yeah.
I do have a point into some taunt ability. I can't remember which one it was.
No, that's fine. I didn't know that you were even able to get a taunt yet. So that's
I think
cool.
it was the first time I was able to put a point in something. It was into one of those things.
Okay, awesome.
So practically almost not from the very start, but a little bit after you start playing, you could put a point into your taunt. That way, if hopefully you can jump in there and help your buddies out or whatever. And if I don't know if it affects if somebody tries to pull something off of you that you don't even know who it is. I don't know how that part of. Now, if you like in Warcraft, can you tag a mob and nobody else can get it, or is it?
From what I've seen, it's kind of shared loot. Like if I hit something, I can skin it. I don't even know if I have to hit it to skin it. If I kill something, there's a chance it might drop loot. But in World of Warcraft, if you kill a mob, it drops loot every time, right? If you're by yourself. Whereas in New World, you might get a loot drop off of something every 8 kills.
Yeah.
So it's much less frequent.
It's less frequent, totally, yeah.
So if somebody in your group kills something, then everybody in the group that's within the right range will get experience and weapon experience. They don't even have to hit it. So, but if somebody outside your group is killing something near you, obviously you're not going to get anything for that unless you hit the mob as well. But if you hit them, then you will get the weapon and leveling experience for that kill.
And also, while you're out in the world and you're running around, if you see a supply crate, it's not just yours. Everybody in the group, or just anybody playing, can come over there and loot that supply crate. And I guess you can only do it once because I ran back by it later and it was gone or whatever.
No, they do not disappear. They do regenerate. They just have a slightly longer generation time than, say, plants that you pick up off the ground.
Okie dokie. All right, that's I learned something.
So if you've got a provision box that gives you lots of stuff out of it, then remember where that provision box is and maybe head back to it at a later time and see if you can get anything else out of it or get the same stuff in different quantities.
And there's something else that I just remembered that I didn't put the notes. When you pick up stuff, you don't vendor it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So this game does not have vendors. It does have a trading post, but that's basically an auction house. So yeah, your bags do fill up, and you either salvage gray items and trading post everything else. However, you can actually store a lot of stuff in your storage shed. So much stuff can be stored there.
I think was it 1,000? I saw 1,000, and out of all the stuff we did in 3 hours, I think I barely put over 100 something in there. And that was all the stuff I had picked up from boulders, bushes, skinning stuff. That's everything I put in there. Now I salvaged. Well, they have an option where you can salvage your items, and it deletes it. So it's not those. Those are gone. So everything else I put in the storage shed. And Rick has a tip that he wants to tell you about the storage.
Yeah. So with the storage, I'm pretty sure it's 1,000 kilograms that it can hold, but each storage is individual to each city. So,
I didn't know that. Okay.
So with the city that we're in right now, it can hold up to 1,000. The next big city that we go to that has a storage shed, it can hold up to 1,000, and they are not linked. Yeah. And then another thing with the storage sheds is that stuff that is in them, like any of your crafting stuff, your wood, your iron ores, your stones, cooking supplies, any of that stuff, you don't have to have it on you to use any of the crafting stations inside that city. The crafting stations will pull from your shed and then drop the created item into your inventory. So if you don't want to carry it on you, you will have to put it back in the shed. But yeah, you don't have to have all of the reagents on you to do different things.
And just so everybody's not super confused, because without knowing this, you might think you have 1,000 bag slots. There's no bag slots in this game. There's a bag that you carry, and there's a weight limit. So in your bag, you can carry 200 pounds to start with. Reaper said kilograms because he's from Canada. And then on your person, you also have different weight limits. So if you're in the light weight category based on what you have equipped, armor and weapon wise, then you have different dodge abilities than someone that's, say, a tank wearing all plate armor. They might have less evasive maneuvers or less ability to climb and jump over things quickly than somebody that's wearing light armor. So it's all based on weight. You have an equipped weight that affects how you move around the world. You have a bag weight, and once you exceed a certain limit, like that 200-pound limit that you start with, if you get over that, then you become encumbered, and it makes it so you can't use your special abilities, you can't run anymore, you can't jump, you're carrying too much weight, essentially. And then in your storage shed, you have 1,000-pound capacity. So, and each item is assigned a weight limit. So if you've got fishing bait, that might not take very much of your weight limit. But if you're carrying around a bunch of boulders that you've been mining, obviously that's going to take a lot more weight in your bag.
Yeah. So now I've been mining stuff, so I'm gonna have to really watch that.
Yeah, it catches up on you quick. Like earlier when we were doing one of our quests, I decided to pick up a couple flint rocks that were on the ground and realized that I was now overweight. And in removing those 2 flint rocks from my inventory, I discovered that I had 583 chopped trees in my bag.
Wow, that's a lot of chopped trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also the leveling in the game. You get levels by killing stuff, by questing, by gathering your stuff, right?
Yep.
Okay, but not. And what about crafting? Do you get XP while you're crafting? Or
Yep. Yeah, you do get a little bit of XP crafting.
Okay. So wow, just everything you do, you get XP. Right?
Literally everything you do basically gives you XP, except for picking up those flint rocks and harvesting bushes for green wood.
You get XP for discovering locations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody got to level 5 just by running to us.
Actually, that kind of takes us back to like the starting of gameplay. If you're looking to play with your buddies, it's a little complicated because you don't start in, or you're not guaranteed to start in the same zone. There's a chance you will, but it's a pretty slim chance. So Keith and Chris both got lucky and got started in the same area, and I had to try for 20 minutes to run from my starting area to them, running through mobs that were highly dangerous to my health. I ended up dying once and having to start the run all over again. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a downfall to trying to play with your friends, but overall it's really a minor downfall.
But all he had to do was do that one quest, and then he was able to run over to us and be where we're at. Now, yeah, he got a bunch of questing experience by running to us, but we'll eventually go to that area and get the experience from that too. So,
yeah, that's right.
Which, yeah, we did forget about that, so I'm glad we went back to that. Yeah. What do y'all think about the questing part of this?
It's very guided. It seems like, you're one quest to the next, to the next, to the next, and then you get into town, and all that kind of stops, and you start having to do faction quests. That's something that we'll have to cover at some point too. Probably not a good time now since we just selected our factions.
Yep, that's as far as we got. We picked the factions and then we stopped.
Yeah, so there's community quests that you can do for your the zone you're in. There's faction quests. So, and there's not a lot of tutorial type, this is how you pick this stuff up. So that'll be something that, like, next time I think we could get into more in depth, and how you find quests and who gives them to you and things like that.
Yeah,
that's a good plan.
Now, who wants to talk about the compass and fighting the quests and
Reaper does.
All right, Reaper.
So, so when you're out questing, when you pick up quests, a lot of them will be auto-tracked. They'll show up on the right-hand side of the screen, and they will give you a detail as to what the quest is and what you have to find or do to complete said quest. At the top of the screen is a compass. So say you have 6 quests marked, or 6 quests that are tracked. They will be marked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the compass, they will show up as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can kind of decide how you want to do your quest chain or quest lines that you're doing, because it will show you how far away from you they are, the direction they're in. The only thing it doesn't show you is whether or not you're going to be climbing over a giant rock bluff or jumping off a cliff.
Yeah.
So you have the compass, but you don't have a mini map to go off of as well to tell you if anything's going to be in your way. But super simple. It's almost like for us World of Warcrafters having Questy built right into the game.
It has the arrow, yeah.
Yeah, it just says this is where you go. This is the zone that you do it in. And actually, if you're looking on your map and you have to get something from a specific area, for example, Keith and I, we have to get something from Mo's farm on one of our other characters. And you can zoom right in onto the map, and it will show you how big the zone is at Mo's farm. It's not really big, but there are other areas that are huge. So there's that you can look into for your questing so that you don't go outside of a zone thinking you can get an item from a different area like I did yesterday. But other than that, yeah, it's super straightforward, simple.
Yeah, so if you went back to Warcraft and like Questy would have to have 6 different arrows, and like what the compass does. So the compass is actually, I like it a little bit better.
Yeah, it is a lot cleaner, because like if you're not looking towards any of the quests, all the arrows will be put off to either side of the compass. Like they're not going to be in your way, so you just turn and then you just line yourself up with a objective and go.
So a lot of those quests have different icons. Are those icons different for a reason? Like, are they class? Well, not really class quest. Optional quest or storyline quest? Is there?
Yep.
Yeah, so
that goes back to what I was talking about earlier with the faction quests and the community quests and the storyline quests. Each one has a different symbol and color assigned to it.
Yeah, so like your main story quest is like the bright gold, real fancy looking. It's also the same in regards to some of the faction stuff. Like I think the second faction quest we get says to level up your standing with the faction to do the next trial to advance, and it'll look very similar, if not exactly the same, as the main story quest.
Okay.
But then
that did just hit me. If I didn't know if it was like storyline, but I'm glad I asked that.
Yeah, and then for doing like community quests or faction quests, there'll be a blue color, like a blue flame or something like that. And for community quests, there are like what are they? Kind of like a yellowish little diamond color.
Yeah, like a dull yellow diamond.
Yeah, and so everything is separated as to main quest, story, main quest, faction quest, side quest. There's even crafting quests actually that you can get to do different things.
That'd be nice.
And everything is separated. You just hit J on your keyboard, and it opens up your journal, and you can check all the different quests you got, what section of the game they fall under, if they fall under main quest, side quests, so on. And it's just a really clean layout, really.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about before we move on to tips?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, we've already been talking about some tips. Is there any other tips that we can talk about? We talked about...
like I said, I'd like to go into more detail as far as how to link up with your friends.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So, when you first start the game, we talked about you get washed up on a beach. There's 4 or 5 different options which beach you're going to land on each server. So you select the same server, you're going in, you think you're going to land together and just be able to play, but you may end up on 2 different beaches that are 3 zones apart from each other. So if you want to get with someone and be at the same point they are, then you go up the beach to the watchtower, you turn in your first quest, which is to find the person at the watchtower, and then you don't accept anything after that. And then you make that trek that Reaper made from wherever you started to wherever they're at, and then you can pick up that second quest from any of the watchtowers. So you just have to, and if you're 3 zones apart, then you may decide that you're both going to turn in the first quest and meet at the watchtower that's in the middle, so that
Yeah.
you both share the misery. But it's kind of a pain, but at the same time, it probably decreases clutter for the servers that are busy, and you get a lot of characters coming into the game at the same time. You don't want them all landing at the same place, or you end up with a lot of hecticness and trying to get resources that aren't there anymore, and things like that. So I think it's a good system, but it can be a pain if you're trying to link up and play with somebody.
Yeah. Good tip. All right, so I can't think of anything else to talk about.
I feel like I've got 40 million tips.
Well, go ahead. I got time.
My second tip would be when you first land, gather up a bunch of that flint that we were talking about and green wood, and create a set of the beginning tools. You can, if you want to skin things for leather and meat, you have to have a skinning knife. If you want to mine boulders and things like that for rocks and stone, you have to have a mining pick. If you want to cut down trees for wood, you have to have an axe. If you want to gather herbs, you have to have a harvesting sickle. So you can gather up the wood and the flint that you need right there at every starting area to be able to make all 4 of those tools, so that as you're doing your starting quest, you can be mining, you can be cutting down trees, you can be gathering herbs to get your skill up and kind of prepare yourself for being able to craft things that you need later.
Yeah, because later you'll get one for free anyways, but it's better just to go ahead and craft them. That way you go ahead and get started.
Yeah, so
That
helped
a lot.
Yeah, so there is a quest that will give you each item individually, but that's not till at least level 5. You don't get that quest until you get into the main town of the zone that you're in. So it's kind of a fallback, sets you back behind people a little bit more.
All right. Next tip.
I'm going to save some of these. I don't want to give away all the tips this first go round.
Yeah. I totally agree. All right, so what are our thoughts about the game so far? Keith, I'll let you go first.
I sat down and played like 10 hours straight yesterday, and I've got a few hours straight playing today. So it feels like the game is going to be enormous, because even with those hours and hours of playtime, I don't feel like I've done much. I don't feel like I've gotten very far. I've leveled up pretty well. It feels rewarding, but it just feels like there's going to be so much more to come. So I guess that'll just be part of playing the game. We'll have to see. The game seems like it's going to be enormous. It's very intricate with all the crafting and gathering and things that you can do. So that can get overwhelming if you're not kind of going in prepared for it. When I first started playing yesterday, I was like, wow, everywhere I go, do I need to be cutting down every tree I pass? Do I need to be picking up every rock I pass? And you don't. But there's a lot to it, so it's going to take a while to really get into the meat and potatoes part of the game and see what it's like after we're not just going out killing things, coming back, turning in quests. Right now it's kind of repetitive, but even with that repetitiveness, I feel like there's a lot to do because of all the crafting and gathering, and so I like it so far. I can't wait to put some more hours into it. Fine, I'm done.
All right, Rick.
Yeah, kind of same as Keith. It coming into it, when I came into it brand new, it was big and vast and very new and overwhelming, having to relearn how to play an MMO because everything I've ever played has been standard. But this one, very different. Landscape-wise, visual-wise, it's just beautifully done. The night and day cycles are a little short, but that's just a minor thing. Being able to advance through your different gathering professions and the actual crafting professions, and then being able to get different bonuses from the different levels of gathering that you get, like at I think it's 30 skinning, you can track small animals like rabbits and turkeys and stuff like that, so that's pretty cool. Saves time on the quest where you have to go out and find those little bastards because they hide in the grass. But yeah, no, overall it is it's a great game. I am not disappointed in the least that I have spent money on it so far. So
yeah, I'm not disappointed in the game either so far. Y'all had a couple days playtime. I just started today, so I'm really new on it. So the gameplay so far to me has got me hooked and want to stop the podcast and go play it right now. So the graphics look really great. I'm enjoying it so far, and I think I'm going to enjoy it for a while after. Up until maybe it gets repetitive. I don't know. It's a little repetitive right now, but it's not bad repetitive. It's stuff that I feel like I need to do in order to reach the goal that I want to get to. So it's not just something to do right now. So I'm enjoying the game just like they are, and can't wait to get back into it. I really don't have too much to go on, I feel like, right now, because there's so much going on. So maybe next week I might change my mind. You never know. Alright, is there anything else y'all want to talk about before we end the show?
Nope, I'm good.
Yeah, no, I can't divulge everything all in one show.
Yeah, we don't want to give it all. So, all right. Well, I guess this is the end of the first show. Come back next week, and we'll have the second episode. And up until then, have fun playing the game. If you would like to reach the show, you can email us at mmonoobspodcast@gmail.com.